I needed a walker to walk. I remember when we went into the hospital at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they did a CAT scan, and they decided I had a massive blood clot and they needed to operate. They told my wife, if she was Buddhist, Hindu, Catholic, whoever it is that you believe in, go and pray. Because he had less than 40% chance, I did, of making it. And I'm still here. And then 5 years ago, 5 years in April 1st, I was in the bank with my wife, and when you get to know me, you'll notice I joke around a lot, I really do. And so it wasn't uncommon for me to play April Fool's joke. So I started gagging in the line, and she's like, whatever. She said, here, I spread out my gum. I said, no, seriously, you gotta get me some help. So she took me to the receptionist, and Darlene, I think her name was, known me so well that she offered me a glass of water. She didn't give me a styrofoam cup. It sticks in my mind. She gave me her own mug and got me some water, but she looked in my eyes and realized that something was wrong. And so she called the ambulance. She stayed guard while she sent someone outside the bank to flag down the ambulance. And it was less than a week I was in the hospital, a couple of days. So I thought everything was okay. I survived three months a couple of years earlier, so this was nothing. But this really took me for a spin. It forced me to resign as a pastor at Mutual Baptist Church. I had to go on disability. I couldn't work. If I went out for a half hour or took the bus anywhere, I'd come home and I'd sleep for 5 or 6 hours. I was very mad with God. I joke around with my friends and said, if we ever robbed a bank together, you wouldn't want me to get caught. I'll rat you out in a heartbeat, because if I'm going down, you're all going down. And I know it's funny, but that's how I am. So now that I had this stroke, and now that I had to resign, now that I couldn't work, now I had to go on disability, I couldn't walk, I couldn't think, my memory was gone, I couldn't read, I lost my driver's license. I was just mad with God, and I talked to him like I'm talking to you. And I told him, there's so many other people you could have hurt, why are you going to hurt me? And for 2 years and 9 months, I complained. For 2 years and 9 months, I was a whiner. And I was in the doctor's office one day for a regular checkup, and there were 5 gentlemen who had strokes, and they were all worse than me. 32 years this one man had been married, and after the stroke, his wife left him. The other man was 29 years, and his wife left him a year after his stroke, because he wasn't able to function as a man would. Like Viagra wouldn't help him. Either of them. They were weak, and it's in these weakened states that their wives realized that they were no good to the wives anymore. They couldn't support the wives, so they left them. And these men were mad. And I sat there and I listened to them, and I realized, holy moly, at the time, that's 17, 18 years. Because we just hit our 23rd anniversary. But at the time, my wife was still with me. She didn't leave me. She was there in the hospital every day. She was visiting me. She took care of the children. She paid the bills when I couldn't afford to. And I said to myself, I must be doing okay. Then the next man had clubfoot. His right foot was useless. He looked normal when he was sitting down, but when he stood, and he limped and gimped up on the left side, the right side, and he needed a cane, and he was mad. And I was asking, what's the matter, man? You've got all your bodily functions, you're alive. He said, my right foot prohibits me from driving. Do you know what it's like to depend on somebody to take you everywhere? I'm 54 years old, he said. For the last 4 years, I've been dependent on somebody to drive me around. I used to drive tractor trailer, and he was mad, and I realized, wait a minute. I'd lost my license, and I was going through the same thing, except, whoa, I'm getting around, and I realized I got to learn to be grateful I don't have club foot. Then the other gentleman had an eye patch. And I thought it was because he had an eye injury, but his stroke left him without full vision in his right eye, which I suffered from as well, except now he was light sensitive. That meant any kind of light, daylight, fluorescent lights. He had to be in a house in the dark. He couldn't read. He couldn't function very well under any kind of light. And as I listened to him and how frustrated he is, I realized that these 4 men had all these symptoms that I was going through and getting over. But there was a difference. They had no relationship with Jesus Christ. They were just mad just for the sake of being mad. And I said, wait a minute, I have a Heavenly Father who's taking care of me every single day. I got hope. I've got a way out. I can get some joy. And that 2 years, 9 months, I started to change my attitude. And I started to be grateful for what I had and not for what I lost. And once I started to change my attitude and started to tell God, thank you. Thank you for a wife that stood by my side. Thank you for awesome children that are very supportive. Thank you for my health and my strength. Thank you for my brain. Thank you for my ability to think. Thank you that I'm able to walk. You know, some preacher said, I wish it was me, because it's awesome. Your attitude determines your altitude. Your attitude determines your altitude. So no matter what you're going through, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how it looks like the world is against you, look up. Look up, for your redemption draweth nigh. Look up to the hills, from whence cometh your help, for your help cometh from none other but the Lord. I told you it was 2 years, 9 months. 3 months later, I read my first book. 4 months later, I got back my driver's license. 5 months later, I got my hairdressing license. And I realized everything I'd lost in 2 years and 9 months, I'd be able to recapture in 5 months. Why? Because God is a God of acceleration.
Yes.
And he realized, what I realized is once I started praising him, he sped everything up. The only thing that was stopping my blessing was my attitude. What are you trying to get at? That was my intro. Was that? Because I truly believe, Highland, that no matter how bad the past is, no matter how lonely he's got, no matter how you struggle, no matter how everything looks against you, I truly believe that now, as we embark on this new adventure, if we could just start praising him. Just start praising him. Just start praising him. Just release it. Just say thank you. Thank you. Thank you for, you've got a church building. Do you know how many people have been meeting in homes or trying to rent out places? You have a church building. I'm like, what's going on? Well, we call it a manse or parsonage. You've got a home that with help we can fix up and start renting if we don't use it ourselves and have an income coming in. But I looked around and walked some of this property. We have some properties going back. We've got a lot right here in Highland. We really do. You guys left the doors open, you guys. The doors were left open, so when we came early, we were able to come in. I walked in and I was like, it's nice and toasty warm in here. This is a refuge in the midst of a storm. You have so much to offer. Said Pastor Armstrong, we're low in numbers. We don't know. Family may have given up. Listen, where 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, he said, I'll be in the midst. I know some of us have found homes, but it's so good to hear you behind the organ. It really is. You've been a blessing to me today. I thank you so much.